2 weeks ago, you were parking cars, and you want me to believe you're now saving the world.
Thank goodness for that clip. If Marvel hadn't posted it, I would have felt very awkward about trying to illegally find that footage, because that's kind of the crux of what this whole video is about. Hi, I'm Nope Just Glenn, or Sir Glenneth, or Glenn, or honestly, whatever you want to call me, and I, theoretically, post videos about whatever I want. Realistically, it's usually just whatever I feel inspired to do at that very moment, and I am feeling inspired by Shang-Chi, and more importantly, the views that will come from it. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. I wasn't excited for Shang-Chi when I first saw the trailer. I think the first trailer I ever saw for it was when I went to see Black Widow. I know that's a little bit, that's ironic. Long story short, you should be subscribed to this channel because quality content, okay? It might come out once every 2 months, but it's always quality content. Don't ask about the new setup. There's no new setup. I'm just in college now. But comment about the new setup. Is it nice? Do you like it? What do we think it? Anyways, you read the title right. There's something very important that you all missed in Shang-Chi, probably because you were distracted by the 10 rings, you were distracted by, the Asian characters, which are absolutely amazing. You were distracted by the fact that this is the second Marvel movie in a row that used a different language than English to convey extremely important parts of the story and emotional, heartfelt sentiment, which is, I come from a home where we used English, ASL, and French fairly regularly. I'm also currently struggling but trying to learn Spanish, Japanese, and Korean. Maybe the fact that I'm trying to learn all three at the same time is the problem. Thank goodness the sponsor for today's video is Babbel. So Babbel is this subscription. My point is that I realize that a lot of Americans are disconnected from the idea that language holds such an important cultural and sentimental value to a lot of people who speak multiple languages. Their native language, their birth language, is usually very precious to them. And that's really not a concept that native English-speaking Americans really connect to, but I'm very glad it's there, and it kind of hit me. It hit me when it happened in Black Widow, and I was like, oh, okay, whoa, that was nice. And then this took it to a whole new level, but that's not what we're supposed to be talking about. Stop distracting me. What we're talking about here is that clip that we pointed out. Sean, or Shang-Chi, and Katie are talking with their friends on their Tuesday night at Olive Garden for a glass of wine that they have. And they're telling the story of what they just did, saving the world. And their friends are surprised, but not dumbfounded, because superheroes are regularly normal now. And then to add everything on, Wong opens up a portal, and then they are both commanded to come with, and everyone in the restaurant sees. This is extremely important because, here we go, we are now crossing to threshold that Marvel has never really dealt with. And that threshold is secret identities. Now, obviously, we were a little bit aware that they were going to go in this direction because we all saw the last clip from Spider-Man Far From Home, and we all saw the trailer for No Way Home. The good ones of us only saw the actual trailer and not the leak. To understand how incredibly important secret identities are for the next stage of the MCU, we kind of have to look at how they haven't been important whatsoever. And in order to understand how they weren't important to the MCU originally, we kind of have to understand what secret identities used to be, I guess. I'm assuming that most of you guys watching this are familiar with basic superhero tropes, so I won't bore you too much, but obviously secret identities is where a character, or protagonist, or whatever, has their superhero persona that they're saving the world or whatever as, and then they have their normal mild-mannered self that usually gets bullied or is, less impressive, or is in some way unremarkable. But definitively, the people around them, especially the people closest to them, don't seem to know that they are the superhero as well as their mild-mannered self. And usually this is a pretty big plot point for a lot of stereotypical superhero shows and cartoons. Some that I can think of from my childhood would be X-Men Evolution, Danny Phantom, even Ben 10 played with tropes of secret identities. Usually the in-universe reason why secret identities exist is so that villains don't come to your address and attack your loved ones. Thank you to Marvel's Power Pack for making that literally the theme of every single issue you've released of them since the 90s. But a lot of times it's because of interpersonal reasons. The fear that people will look at them differently because they are a superhero, and it changes the perception they have of this previously mild-mannered person. Even incredible new shows like Invincible still played with the trope of secret identity. When look at the original MCU, baseline it looks like, oh good, they're moving away from a tired trope, secret identities. But there's also another reason why secret identities weren't really a thing up until now. First off, I'm not going to go and list all the characters that we consider heroes in the MCU. Technically, I think the internet says there's like 29 of them. I don't care. The point is that none of them so far have really had a secret identity that's mattered. Specifically, when we're looking at the original 6, Iron Man revealed who his secret identity was at the end of Iron Man 1, and it really didn't have any negative effects, especially since no one watches Iron Man 2 anymore. Captain America is a guy from a different century. It doesn't really matter if anyone knows who he is because all of his loved ones are gone. Bruce Banner is Bruce Banner. I'm leaving it at that. Thor is literally the god that he claims himself to be. He doesn't have a secret identity. Hawkeye kind of has a secret identity, but it's never played with, but I'm going to get into that more later because I think it's going to become important in the next phase. And then this may be the misogyny in me, but I can't think of Natasha Romanoff without thinking of Sophie Devereaux from the Leverage series. But they have so many identities that even they don't really know which ones are real anymore. So Natasha doesn't really have any secret identity. Also, she doesn't have a family really, and she's dead. I guess I could have also said that Iron Man was dead. Spoilers, Iron Man's dead. Oh, also spoilers, Captain America is dead. Also spoilers, Hawkeye is going to be dead soon if I have anything to do about this. Now, when we look a little bit further, part of the reason why none of the original 6 and the following members had secret identities is because they were all SHIELD or government agents. They didn't have a secret identity because they were kind of protected and covered by the agency they essentially worked for. That's part of the problem with the Sokovia Accords, because that agency wanted to take more control and actually use them as a militarized unit. So we've established that in the original MCU, secret identities weren't really a thing. But now we have new characters, Shang-Chi, Katie, and Peter Parker, who are now becoming more prevalent characters in the MCU. All 3 of these people are now people with normal lives. Katie and Shang-Chi had an actual job. They were valets. And Peter Parker is an actual student and an actual high school. This high school, to be specific. Obviously, in Peter's case, he is forcibly outed. And in Shang-Chi and Katie's case, they got recorded, I guess, on a YouTube video and it went viral. So there's really not a huge point in hiding it. The point is that they are people with normal lives. They are not solely government agents like a lot of the other people were. And they aren't solely mercenaries like the Guardians of the Galaxy and such. So they have to live in this double world. They are now both normal everyday citizens that have to work, but everyone knows that they are also superheroes. One, I respect the directors a ton for going this direction. Part of it is, I think the directors think, and I kind of agree with them here, that if someone came out as a superhero in our real world in 2021 here, someone came out as a superhero, we'd be like, oh, cool, and we'd ask questions we'd want to know more. But we wouldn't say that's impossible. We've come to a point in society with science and with technology that okay, Jeff Bezos literally went to space for a mini vacay. Okay, we have an Iron Man living among us. Correction, living above us. So if there was a news report of a legitimate superhero being out and about and he used technology or he had some sort of mutation or whatever, we wouldn't say that's impossible. We'd speculate it, we'd criticize it, we'd want to know more, but I don't think we definitively say that's fantasy anymore. We've just come to a point in society, partially because of the oversaturation of superheroes in our society. Who knows, maybe the microchip that they implanted in my arm will give me superpowers. That'd be a funny origin story. I'm not sure if someone should actually do it, but if anyone does, can we make it official that I said it? The COVID shot gave me superpowers. Maybe it was because they got one shot of Moderna and one shot of Pfizer. Anyways, the point is that Marvel directors know that our society, our actual society, is accepting enough of superheroes to see them as not commonplace, but no longer something impossible. And so it makes sense that the in-universe counterparts to normal everyday citizens like us, normal everyday citizens like you, is the same. Superheroes are there, we're going to take videos of them, it gets views, it's cool, it's exciting, but it's not impossible, it's not unnatural, it's not something that they're really, oh my gosh, superheroes, And number 2, I think revealing these secret identities kind of ties in with my last Marvel theory that I had. I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I'd be picking up these pieces for you. In my last Marvel video, which, surprise, surprise, was one of my most recent videos, I talked about how even with all these grand spectacle things going on, we have creating life, we have taking over a town, we have the TVA, which is control of time, we have all of these crazy things. And yet the last 4 stories from Marvel, and now kind of 5 stories from Marvel, have all been about corruption, corrupt governments. You can go check out the last video, but I'm going to quickly just say, like, obviously the TVA was a corrupt government, the Red Room was a corrupt government, America is a corrupt government, SWORD was a corrupt government, and the 10 Rings was a corrupt government. Now you might be thinking, Glenn, what does corrupt governments and secret identities have to do with each other? What's your point here? Okay, here's the thing. Previously, there was things like SHIELD, which was technically a government-ish organization that was very separate from the actual government. And because of SHIELD's influence, they were able to like avoid the actual government. Until, of course, the Soviet Accords. We get it, okay? We all watch Civil War. It's in all of our like top 5 favorite Marvel movies. Top 10. But now we have real corrupt governments that aren't like superhero agencies, like the American government. We have real corrupt governments knowing not only the existence of superheroes, but the exact address of superheroes who have like secret, or I guess not secret, identities. The MCU, US government, knows exactly where Peter Parker lives, knows exactly where Sean lives, knows exactly where Katie lives. And since they all live in America, they have quick and easy access to all of them. I feel that although we have this spectacle of mind-bending reality, time travel, breaking universes, all of that stuff going on, part of the subplot issue, the underlying issue, and maybe even what turns into a big baddie issue, is the fact that real governments that are run by real corrupt people now have the real identities of real superheroes. Let me ask you, do you think that this US government, our US government, would allow there to be the existence of a superpowered person on American soil without keeping track of them, without monitoring their every movement, without maybe even recruiting them by force if necessary to, you know, go be the next super soldier over in Afghanistan? Oh, sorry, we pulled out of Afghanistan. Insert any other Middle Eastern country. As fantastical as the MCU can be, a lot of it is based on very real principles, very real emotions, very real arguments. Even when they're forcibly shoved down our throats. Falcon! Oh, sorry, I sneezed there. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What I'm trying to say here is I think that's going to be a very important part of this next phase of the MCU. The fact that corrupt governments know the locations of real superheroes and are definitely going to try to manipulate them. And I'm not an avid comic book reader, so I can't say whether this is backed up or completely like destroyed by the comics, but it really doesn't matter because the MCU usually is only slightly influenced by the comics. Like, it takes plot points, it takes ideas, but it is by no means a remake of the comics. I said I was going to bring up Hawkeye again. Honestly, I got bored of him, but basically now that Yelena is going to go after him, a corrupt government knowing the secret identity of a superhero and now like going after him, that's literally what I'm talking about. Also, hopefully, if Hawkeye can get killed, cross fingers, by Yelena, that gives his daughter Huntress a chance to like have a revenge arc, and by revenge arc I mean the Young Avengers will be formed. I mean, come on, we have Wiccan, Speed, Huntress, and Miss Marvel as all official characters in the MCU. I just know the MCU wants to find a way to shove the Outlaw arc down our cinematic throats. Yes, I'm mad that the first iteration that we've gotten of Power Pack in like 15 years is just another boring retelling of Outlaw. Anyways, that's my theory, speculation, hypothesis. I don't care what you call it, as long as you subscribe for future content, because Marvel's really coming out with it, so that means I have to come out with it. That sounds sad. I'm not sad. Sorry, I haven't recorded a video in like 6 weeks, so sorry about that. Also, the finale of Rick and Morty comes out in 2.5 hours. So comment down below if you think that this makes any sense, or if it's just like me babbling on. Share this with all your MCU friends. You know what to do. Thank you for standing with me in this trying time that is back to school season. Anyways, let's have some fun and smile, because Carol Danvers is becoming the new like queen of getting to appear at the end scenes of episodes and movies that she was objectively not a part of.